to give to us. See, the head gives away to the inner critic, and that's what you've really got to watch, that voice inside ourselves that keeps us in some form of fear. And so it keeps us from expressing our passion. It keeps us from being courageous, which is passion and courage are qualities of the heart. And it keeps us from going forward from a place of courage. And then what happens at the end of this life cycle is we end up to that destination called regret. Many more end up with regret than don't, by the way, statistically. So have a look at that. Is that a destination that is part of your plan? If it is not, then look at what thoughts and what behaviors you are right now engaging in that are either propelling you down that road or not. And change the ones that don't support you. And that definitely requires engaging the heart. No matter how good you are at whatever you do, being humble, being open, and being connected to the heart and giving from the heart of all your gifts is where, as human beings, we know what's authentic and real. We experienced it the other night, didn't we? A couple of nights ago when the gentleman was performing. Bruce, wasn't he amazing? And why? Technically, yes, he could sing and he could hit the notes. Okay, so technically he could. We've had many people over many cruises that could sing and hit the notes, but did they touch our hearts? See, what he did the other night was he gave all of him. He came from his whole being. He was open-hearted and he wasn't afraid to be vulnerable. He came out all here happy and wanting to party, and if everybody was going to be Dullsville, you know, that didn't stop him from saying, well, I'm not going to come out because I might look like an idiot, right? He knew. He knew he could come from his heart, he could give every aspect of himself, and that your hearts would respond, and they did. That's the difference. You see, we could feel him. And that's where you know, yes, he had to do all the hard work and learn his craft. One of my favorite musicals of all time, way back, same thing. The cast was so amazing that anytime I fell down, I had this pass they used to have way back in the old days, in the prehistoric times. And it was called a personal privilege pass in Vancouver, and you could go as many times, and believe me, I used it. I think they took it away after that. Because every time I was down, I would just go down, listen to the music, but it wasn't just the music. It were the performers. They just gave everything, and I left there feeling lifted. But when your critical mind is in place, when your critical mind is there, it will not allow you to go forward. Okay? It will stop you in fear. I remember that with a singing teacher when I was working with my vocal work, getting ready for a performance. The day before, I was singing a piece from Phantom. And I really, really wanted to do it well, but I wasn't trusting. So I remember the last day before the performance, you get up with a singing teacher and you're looking at your notes and you're singing it, but what you're really looking at is what is she doing and what the piano player is doing. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I think it was Music of the Night or something, you know. Nighttime sharpens, you know, heightens each sensation. And I'm just like really getting into it, but my mind was watching. And what happened, she didn't do the usual. Music teachers circle and do these things and you know, okay, oh God, something's wrong here. And when I looked over, the piano player, she wasn't making her usual faces. You know, you kind of get an idea, and I thought, oh my gosh, Taron, you are so bad. You're doing so badly that this is it. From this moment on, you'll never sing again. They're not even bothering. Okay, that's how my mind read it, the critical voice. Okay? And at the end of that, I put down my books and I was ready and I was brave to take my hits and be told, you know, Taron, keep your day job, right? And you know what she said? She says, Taron, that was so Phantom-like, that was perfect, don't change a thing. How many of you have gone out there and read a situation totally the opposite way because your head had you in fear and judgment of yourself? Of course, the next day I didn't sing it nearly as well, but, right? So, you see, the self-critic is just as active in there. And maybe it's giving you the wrong feedback and keeping you from indulging in your passions, music being one of them.